This is my friend, my new friend, Jonna. I just met her in the podcast class with Kathy Heller. And boy, we've made quite the collection of friends with that group, haven't we?
Yes, that has been one of the biggest gifts along the way, is to meet new friends. I really didn't expect that part.
Right? Yeah. So how are you doing in your pod, by the way?
Yeah, so we've met a couple of times so far. That's been a really encouraging piece and definitely is helping keep me accountable in moving forward, because I think Kathy's calls are so inspiring and give me so much energy. But keeping that momentum, it's like, this has been really helpful to have those pods and to really have people to connect with and go a little bit further and say exactly what my goal is for the week and check back in. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, well, Joanne here was part of Kathy's Made to Do This. So she has her own little pod.
Oh, that's great.
Pods are great. They're great for ideas, inspiration, just, yeah. So I heard your trailer. Are you planning to launch it next year? Or?
Yes. So my podcasts will start dropping in January, and I'm really excited about it. Part of that was I also had written an article that's coming out in January. So just thought, well, this is going to be a good way to have all the information kind of coming out at that time and have a place for people to just find more of the 5-minute inner child, which is what the name of the podcast is.
So you wrote an article. Where do we see this article?
It will be published in Wild and Free magazine. It's a magazine that is part of kind of Wild and Free is a homeschool movement. And so I had kind of written about my experience doing the 5-minute inner child bingo for my 40th birthday. And that just kind of all the things that went into it and what I learned from it, what some of the people from my group, we've kind of played as a group. I invited friends to play along with me. And so that's what the article is about.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is. And the whole idea is that to take 5 minutes a day to connect with yourself in a way that inspires delight and honors yourself, regardless of like goals, outcomes, or any sense of worthiness. I mean, I hope we all have 5 minutes a day to do that. And that, I know for myself, I got really disconnected from myself in motherhood and just kind of lost that connection to my inner child with playfulness. And that's been really just helpful for me to make that connection stronger. And that's what I've been doing. That's kind of my practice right now.
My goodness, Jonna, I love that, because I feel like so many times we take on these identities like mother and teacher and chauffeur. I mean, I've seen your videos of your kids, and you're a dog owner now, right? Right?
Yep. Two dogs. Yep.
So all of these different identities, we kind of push that aside, push like who we are inside, we push that aside and forget, to take care of ourselves. So 5 minutes a day, anybody can do that.
Oh, totally. Well, and the idea is that it's an accessible practice. I think it's sort of contemplative, because you have to pause and really think about what would be honoring to yourself and inspire delight. I know that, and for a day job, I do this podcasting that I hope will become more of a full-time situation, but I have a day job as a school psychologist, and it's so much in my head. But what I found is like, kids, so much of how they learn is through play. And it's just so interesting that I had stopped playing personally, and not everybody does, but I had stopped playing. And so this has been, really helpful to get back in touch with those parts of myself that I think make me a better mom and a better partner. I show up differently when I'm playing versus when I'm just so much in the, headspace of being a professional or, doing all the right things. So.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what kind of things were on your bingo? What kind of tasks or what things were on there?
Yeah, well, they were all meant to, I mean, some took a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but I tried to make them all pretty much free. And what I did was I filled out like a bingo sheet and then like also put a blank one out there in case like, so people could use mine for inspiration. But they were things like, I mean, it was in the fall. So it was things like stepping on crunchy leaves or like, you know, not stepping on the cracks of like the sidewalk or just like, you know, things that were not necessarily, they didn't cost money. They were free. They were really right in front of me. I just had to like stop and pay attention. Doing a leaf hunt. Like I said, there were fall activities, running from room to room, singing. I just started actually today is my first day. I'm doing 12 days of inner child because it's 12 days, kind of my spin on 12 days of Christmas. But
Yes.
so I'm doing like a second round of this. And so it started today, but like, I don't know when this episode will air, but like for me today, I'm going to pick one because I'm going to try, you know, it's like, why do a challenge at the busiest time of the year? But I was like, for me, I need to like, I give to like my 4 kids and every, you know, my kid is, in a musical right now. I'm constantly driving, you know, I'm playing chauffeur and driving him around but I'm going to take 5 minutes today to look at the Christmas tree lights. And that is actually, I mean, I've only ever really glanced at it, you know, but I'm going to that's what my practice is today. I'm going to look at the lights for 5 minutes and that
Oh
is
my,
going to be.
that's so fun. Do you have that available for people to look at? Like, do you have that on somewhere people can access
I
that?
do. I have a Facebook group that's playing along with me, the inner child bingo. But I can make that available too. I was gonna also give this as like maybe a freebie, but yes, if you'd like to play along, I'm gonna try to keep doing these like kind of thematic challenges because I like a theme. It helps me come up with like the ideas maybe for the season. But if you search 5-minute inner child on Facebook, you can find it's like a private Facebook group.
I just joined your Facebook group this morning.
Oh, good.
I'm waiting
Yay.
to be approved.
Oh, yes. Well, we want to keep it like a safe space. And what I found, I kind of did a poll of people after we did the first round and to find out like, what did people like about this? Because I had like 100 people join me playing for my birthday. And I was like, what was it? And a lot of people just liked, I think a lot of the ideas for inspiration, because sometimes it is hard to come up with some of your own ideas of like, when you are in that headspace of kind of being disconnected and giving to everyone else, it's like sometimes hard to come up with new ideas of what do I want right now? And so I think part of it is just sharing inspiration.
I think this is a perfect idea for this time of year, even though it's busy. It's gift giving time, right? And what a perfect gift to give to yourself.
Yeah.
I like that. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I mean, I do think about it as a form of self-care. Like we think of self-care as so, you know, sometimes like a massage or going away for the weekend. And those are all like, I love that just as much as anybody, but you know, making this kind of something that we can hopefully take some time for ourselves each day and give ourselves a gift. And
Yeah.
I like how playful it is. I mean, and that's the whole idea, right? Connecting with that inner child. So I love that.
Yeah. And so part of it, like, for me, I love learning and just like how play goes into learning. And I do evaluations for a living. Like I get evaluations for referrals for kids that maybe are struggling. And so as I, you know, have had kids of my own and then also professionally, like play is such a healing part of how we develop just in early childhood and even through the learning process. We all learn better through play. And so I think that that's also been part of it is I've really been just so inspired to do this more just as even a learning process for myself for creativity, because I find that the more that I play, I just get more creative ideas come to it. It just gets easier to get into that creative flow and to sort of what I would say kind of tap into I think we all kind of have a genius within us, but we have to play first to kind of get there. And I see that with my kids. I see that with the kids that I work with, that as they do that, there's something that happens, but you kind of have to play first. And it doesn't happen overnight, but so many of the interventions like that I recommend, and a lot of it's just play, and it's just not hard. We make life, I think, a lot harder than it has to be a lot of times.
Well, when did we decide that playing was for kids only?
Right. I know.
Right. So good for you. You're setting an example for your kids. They're going to know that the playing never ends.
Well, I think that it has been really fun to share that with them too, and just to have more dance parties, or to just take those moments, and then they feel a little, I hope, freer to keep this as a habit too, because yeah, why is it that adulting is so separated? Even though I think in a lot of corporations, they understand that, like, to have the creative process, you do have to be sort of playful, like, and I think that I don't know what happens, how there is that disconnect, but I want to bring it back. I want us all to be playing a little bit more. And even if it just has to start with 5 minutes a day, that's a good start.
Yeah. Well, you can tell me what you think about this, because now as I'm thinking about it, we're growing up and we're busy playing, and we learn as we go that this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is the way it's supposed to be done. So then we're copying everybody and trying to do it the right way and do it. This is the way, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of takes the play out of it so we kind of learn that this is the way. There's no play. This is the way. Instead of saying, well, what if? Well, that's a fun, playful thing to think, right? What if?
Right. And I think that is where that creativity piece comes in, because like learning to think outside the box, you sort of have to be playful in your thoughts, and playful, like, oh, this could work, or what if we did it this way? And we tend to get so rigid with, like, this is the way things have to be, without always questioning, like, why is that? Why? And being able to have the freedom to ask questions and have curiosity. I mean, those are all like super important for learning anyway. And yet, so much of, I'm in the schools all the time, because like I'm a school psychologist. So that's my kind of where my referrals come from, schools. And so, but there's really a difference between kind of like education, which is sort of like a passive process a lot of times, versus learning, which is very, very active, especially before the age of 5. It's all learning through doing or playing games, or, we learn like such big skills like walking and talking and running, and they're very complex whole body movements. But yeah, it's all through play. It's through interacting with somebody else, having connection and playing.
It reminds me of probably why that movie, the Tom Hanks movie, Big,
oh yeah,
was so popular. Just having somebody who is like has the child's mind, and then everyone was like loving how pure he was. So what if that came back, where we're just all big kids?
I mean, I like to think that it's possible. I would like to think that if we took this time and we really all took it seriously, that things really could change in our world. I mean, I believe that. And I think that when you start to think that way, I think things can happen. And I think you have to believe that too, because kids have this sense of wonder and amazement and awe that's also something that sort of gets lost a little bit too. When you go out in nature, I kind of experience that more when I'm out in nature, or just having that sense of wow, but when you're, and it's great to be behind a computer screen, but if you don't get out into the world and see it and explore, you sort of forget that the amazement, that I think kids, they're just in wonder. They, I see it in my kids all the time. They'll run up to me and be like, oh, this is an acorn. And it's like, they're so excited, but to them that really is. And it's like, wow, where do we lose that along the way?
Right.
I'm willing to test it out.
You should play along.
Yes.
Yes. So let's let's say that tomorrow I'm going to just do a 5-minute. What would you suggest for me to do?
So I think that a lot of times getting started, I mean, for one thing, I do have the card that you can use my own. It is, I will say, for my climate, there are some snowy sort of ideas on here. So for you all, I'm not sure that you'll have the
Yeah.
options, but things like, I mean, a lot of times it's engaging our five senses. So when I come up with the ideas for like what I'm going to put on my card, I go through my five senses because that's how we take in information. And a lot of times that is how we can become kind of like present to the present moment and not so much in our minds. So, you know, anything that can engage the five senses in a way that delights you. So for each person that might be different, whether it's putting on a specific smell or just music that really is soothing, or walking in nature, or those types of things. If there's things that catch your eye that are just like very pleasing to you, some people prefer neutrals versus color, and just kind of getting back in touch with your five senses and what really is inspiring to you, I think is a good first start, because that's how we can orient ourselves back to, not usually in our heads, we're either in the present, or the past or the future. We're not in the present. Usually it has to take our five senses to get back to the present.
Oh my goodness, I love that so much, because this is one of my very favorite things to talk about right now. Because the past and the future are just stories that we create in our head. But if we just sit with, like you said, the senses and experience life, that's experiencing life.
That's where the awe,
fake belief.
totally. It's not even happening. Those, you're right. You're totally right. Those are the stories.
Yes.
And they have their place, and we need whatever. But yes, that's why I do consider it kind of a mindfulness contemplative practice, because it's getting back to just the present moment and allowing that to be the gift.
Yes.
Right then and there.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It can be really powerful. And I think sounds so much more simple, but like taking the time to do it is like, I took a break between October was like my birthday month when I did this whole first round of the challenge, and then my family got COVID, and I did not do very well, without, I think part of it is just me holding myself accountable and playing along with everybody, because it's like, it's so easy to not be here, to be somewhere else in my mind, writing those stories.
Well, maybe sometimes when it's so easy, then we kind of fall off track too, because it's so easy. And it's easy to get pushed aside, but it's easy, but it's also super important.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's part of just building a muscle to get back to it. I think it is easier now, and I've done like the first round and I'm going back to it. I'm like, okay. And I think that once you get used to checking in with your five senses and being like, what is it that, what do I like? What would delight me for 5 minutes, for my five senses? And it's going to be totally different, which is also what I like, because for one person, it's going to be different because we're all unique. And I think that is part of the name of the podcast is what?
Like, the unicorn lens.
Yes. So that kind of uniqueness.
Yes.
Which kind of plays off of your name, which was what I was thinking of. And just that we don't all, I think that when you try to package something as like, this is what everybody needs, that can be not only misleading, but also we're kind of in a little bit of a mental health crisis. I don't know if anybody has like noticed, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, and my referrals personally have never been higher for everybody needs help right now. But I think that, and so we're so reliant on like experts to be who give us all the answers, when I think a lot of times we overlook that we can check in with ourselves and find out what it is that we need. And that's part of what I like about this, is giving personal agency back to people to stay connected, and there's nothing wrong with the experts and the counseling and therapy and all of those things. But I think that it's just helpful to remember that we are the ones that know, and getting in touch with our intuition and staying connected.
Well, I think those experts that we talk about and call experts, they're just guides. But when it comes to us personally, we are the expert. So you're right, like taking time to just learn who that is, we gotta learn who that is, the things that we like and the things that we don't like. And
Yeah, I think that it's always easier to look for those answers outside yourself. So when you have this opportunity to let yourself be the expert, that's part of what I love about it, is because I got so tired of being the expert. I say expert within quotes, because so many of the recommendations I give are things like play and giving that agency back to people. But I think that, yeah, it kind of needs to be, we need to start accepting that we have a guide within us, that we need to start listening and paying attention to what we're asking for, and to take that seriously, because it's important to stay connected. I don't know. I just can't, it's just that's what's on my heart.
yeah, people need permission for some reason.
Totally. Well, and when you play, it brings up so many things when you play. A lot of the things are the things that Kathy talks about, like making mistakes and allowing yourself to be comfortable being seen. And those things that we feel comfortable playing when we're in childhood, they definitely are things that we learn not to do, and we need to do things perfectly. And yet play is not perfect. It's just,
right.
It is what it is. And so so much of what I'm trying to share is so much of what her course was about. And I don't think it's not a coincidence. I don't think it's that synchronicity of like, these are just those universal truths that we all maybe need to hear in a different way or something. But for me, it's been really powerful to be playing more.
Yeah, I think this is the message that people need to hear now. And the amount of people out there that need to hear it, I mean, Kathy can't do it all herself,
Right. Oh,
she's doing a good job of trying, though.
Yeah. I have enjoyed this course so much, and it's been great. I'm glad we have the support, like for the next, I think 6 months or something. But yeah, it's so much more than podcasting. And that's kind of what it is, learning how to be even playful with the podcasting. And I know that there are groups that are doing like the speed pod, just to sort of let yourself be seen and let yourself, kind of be playful with it. Because where is that point where we're not okay with like letting things not be perfect and letting things just kind of be messy, just like what she talks about? Because I think all my kids, there's a certain point where they all consider themselves creative too. But then there's this age where all of a sudden, we're not creative anymore. We're and I just, it's just a lie. Like, I hope they stay connected to that. But what I'm doing is I'm just, like I said, trying to get back to that.
Yeah.
I love your message. And, we like to talk to people about what their dreams are and where they're heading. So what else do you have on the horizon? Do you want to eventually replace your current job with this?
Yes, I do want to move into this as more of a primary focus. And that is definitely what I'm kind of going through my 2022 sort of vision. I just got my planner in the mail, but I kind of like put pictures and words all over it to sort of as my vision board. But I really do want to focus on kind of more of an inner child collective, which is going to be kind of a group that is more focused with going a little bit deeper and just having some of those. I think we'll probably do monthly challenges and have it be a more dedicated space to explore this and talk about all the themes that come up and just have some extra content too. So that's what I'm going to be starting. And I think that I'm really excited about it. I think that it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you. This is just what we need. More of this. This is my favorite conversation. I love it.
It's really fun. I think that we all just need to play more.
Agree.
100%.
I'm in.
Yay!
We're converted. We're on the way anyway, but absolutely. So as we start to wrap up, what is on the subject of inner child, what is one childhood game that you used to like to play?
Well, it's so interesting because so many things have come up. I've been renovating my childhood home this past year. So I don't think I think that part of this has kind of coincided with like, I've been renovating this house. And so all kinds of things have come up for me in terms of reconnecting with myself. And so actually we just listed it for sale on the market today, but you know, I think it's just been, I used to be a performer. I used to sing and dance and do all kinds of things. So getting back in touch with that side of me has been really fun. I make right now that adult translation is I've been making like just funny music videos with my son. And then you may have seen them.
Yes.
But like basically I try to find a lyric to fit like a frustrating situation, because I think that, you know, I don't want to like bypass the emotional part of things. Of course, like we need to process our emotions, but usually I try to like find a lyric that goes along with the frustrating situation. And I usually make a music video about it. So
Yay, fun. And just quickly before we end today, where can people find you on the Facebook group and your podcast and Instagram?
yes, I am playing the Inner Child Bingo at 5 Minute Inner Child. If you search on Facebook, that's the private Facebook community group. And on Instagram, I am Jonna_Watson. And then my podcast will launch in January 2022, and it's called 5 Minute Inner Child. You can find it on any of the platforms.
All right.
I want to go out and play now. We've got some leaves now.
Yes, leaves. Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I could just go on and on, but the playful aspect of the inner child, that's the part that it doesn't get a lot of attention at all. That's why I think people are talking more about it now and they're interested. It's not something that gets a lot of air.
Well, I think once they get comfortable with I'm speaking for me, like once you're comfortable with the playful part, then it's easier for you to tap into the, and sit with some of those uncomfortable things, and then they can be more play too, as long as like the past is your story.
Yep, it is.
And it's beautiful in that it's your story.
Yeah. And that we still get to create our new chapters. And so I think you can use all kinds of metaphors there of like playing to get to your next, what's going to be your next chapter? And so there's so many ways you can go with that, but being comfortable with that space, we get very grown up and just way too serious.
Right.
More play and more naps, I say.
Oh, 100% with the naps. I saw a meme the other day that our childhood punishments become our adult like fantasies, like nap
rewards.
Yes.
Staying in, like away from people.
You're
and like,
grounded.
Yeah.
Go to your room.
Go to your room.
Yeah, and going
have to.
being away from any. Oh, all right.
Shoot. Okay, if I have to. That's funny. That's true. Thank you, Jonna. It's so fun to connect. And like I said, I'm part of your,
yes, well, I will.
So.
I will definitely approve your membership. I'll have to look on that. But yeah, we're going to have a great time playing.
Yeah, well, I'll join your bingo.
Yay. Yeah. 4 in a row gets a bingo. I am going to do some giveaways. So if you post your bingo, I'm going to do some giveaways and yeah.
That's fun.
That's such a fun idea.
Yeah. Well, this was really fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. And
of course.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye, Joanne. Bye, Marcy.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fun.
That was fun, huh?
And I like that. Like incorporating more play. in everything, like how can we make our, whatever our next steps are going to be,
Yeah.
make it more playful.
I feel like that's been our motto, to have the most fun possible.
Yeah.
It's like she's speaking right to our soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
want to play our bingo. That sounds fun.
I know, we should have it like like roll down a grassy hill.
I wonder if we've done that once.
Videotape it.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, anything else for today? I thought when I first woke up this morning, I thought it was at 9 o'clock. So,
you get on at 9?
Yeah. And then I'm like, and I'm, dilly-dallying. And then around 8 o'clock, I'm like, oh, I should get up. And then I was like, oh, it's not till 12. So it actually worked to get me up like faster. And I'm like, oh, I can go to the post office.
Look, and I had the opposite. I'm like, oh, I have all the time in the world. And I was on the phone with the insurance, like trying, because you can sign up for the insurance right now.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
I was on the phone with a lady, and I'm like, she's like, do you have time to go through the question things? I'm like, well, I look at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's noon. I gotta go. I'll call back.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, that's good. You'll have some insurance.
Well, I'm playing around with the idea, but I'm gonna have to call her back and find out about the process of getting insurance. So I can ride my bike. I mean, I can ride my bike anyway. I can ride my bike anyway. But there is a little fear in there.
Peace of mind. Give you a little peace of mind.
Yes.
Let's not call it insurance anymore. Let's call it peace of mind.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Well, good luck with your peace of mind.
Thanks. Good luck with you too, and I'll see you tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day.